I'm joined by ESPN's Michael Eaves. You saw him hosting SportsCenter last night. He's here with me right now. Michael Eaves, it's GP. How are you on this Monday morning?
Bro, you are all decked out in all things Mets right now.
I'm fired up. I watched you guys last night. I know Sunday Night SportsCenter, that is largely going to be NFL, but you guys had to dedicate time. You brought Jeff Passan in. 15 years, $765 million. The Mets and Juan Soto have reached an agreement. It's the richest contract in professional sports. Your reaction to it was what?
Well, look, it was the decision that had to be made during the free agency period in baseball, right? He was the number one guy on the market, so what would happen with him would dictate how everything fell in behind it, right? At least for position players, obviously. And the only question would be, would he get more money than Shohei Ohtani got? Now, his contract is completely different because Shohei has so much deferred money, where this one does not have any whatsoever. But when you think about where the market is and where baseball is, this is a generational talent. And we reminded people that last night, going all the way back to his first major league hit at 19 years old. And that was a home run in just a second at bat. He's already a four-time All-Star. He's already won a batting crown, and he's 26 years old. So he was going to get top dollar. The only question would be, how much farther would it increase, and would it actually get to maybe $800 million? And several teams are involved. Obviously, the Yankees wanted to keep him. They tried to get right there. The Dodgers had some interest, the Blue Jays. But it was Steve Cohen and that ownership group there in New York that clearly said, we are going to make a move right now that could determine our next 10 to 15 years. And Juan Soto was that guy. If there's one guy out there that could get that money, it's Juan Soto.
I don't, as a Mets fan, I just don't think 15-year contracts are ever good, or they're rarely good. But that just means at 41 years old in 2039, 40, in that range, he'll be making $51 million. Do we even know what $51 million looks like in 15 years from now? I say that, yeah.
Absolutely not.
15 years ago, the biggest annual average value contract in baseball was A-Rod, and it was $27.5 million. So in a span of 15 years, we've gone from $27.5 million to now Juan Soto is going to be making $51. By the time he's in year 15 of this contract, the best players in baseball could be making $100 million. It might not be that much.
Absolutely. And I think someone will make $100 million by then, and we'll probably have our first billion-dollar contract before 15 years, to be honest. But here's the deal. Juan Soto will not see the end of this 15-year contract because in 5 years he's going to opt out of it and then sign a new deal, and that yearly value will probably increase to more than $60 million, quite honestly. But, from a structure standpoint, and you're trying to justify spending that much money, you've got to put it out over, 10, 15 years just for planning purposes, obviously. But everybody knows, the team and Juan Soto's representatives know that in 5 years he's going to opt out of that contract to increase whatever the last 10 years of that deal could be. So when today's age, when there's long-term contracts, anytime there's an opt-out, that's the only thing that really matters. In NFL, the only thing that matters is the guaranteed money. In other contracts, when is the opt-out year? Because that's what you're really talking about. Because everyone, barring some tragic injury, is going to opt out of that deal and renegotiate the final 10 years.
In some circles, the Yankees are being criticized, specifically Hal Steinbrenner, because they did more or less on some level get outbid by their crosstown rivals, who are now operating like the big market franchise they have forever been, but have never until now had an owner with that mindset and this type of incredible wealth. On one hand, I get it. On the other hand, it kind of feels like the Yankees could have kept going, and at the end of the day, Cohen was never going to stop, and Soto was going to be a Met. Do the Yankees deserve the criticism they're getting right now?
I personally don't believe so.
Yeah.
I really don't. And granted, because of their history and the history of their ownership group, that's where a lot of that criticism comes from. But they're also paying Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, and Garrett Cole, right? Those are not small contracts, right? So those guys alone are demanding top dollar and a lot of money. Where the Mets right now have Lindor. They don't even have Pete Alonso under contract right now. Obviously, they do want to keep him. But it's a totally different payroll situation with the Mets and the Yankees. Now, Yankee fans just feel like, they're superior to everybody and how dare someone pay more money than we can. But it's not like the Yankees didn't give Juan Soto a very attractive contract. They even gave him an actual additional year, even though the yearly value of that contract was slightly less based on that extra year and what they offered him at $760 or whatever it was. But that's a really good offer to someone. But to your point, Gary, sometimes someone's just going to outbid you because they want it more. But that doesn't mean you should overextend yourself for the sake of your entire roster in some bidding war with a team across town.
The Gary Parrish Show, live weekdays at 10 a.m.